Anyone would like to ask a question? If there's anyone that would like to ask a question, yes, dear brother. Wa alaikum salam. I'm sorry? Thank you, dear brother. Very, very, very good question. My brother is asking about what is the difference between the Latino, Hispanic, and Chicano communities, or actually the terms, because that's where the differences are. More so, you'll find those of the original people that will go by the term Chicano in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California, the West Coast. You won't find many who will go under that title in Florida. Chicano is really a term that is derived from I believe it's the Nahuatl tongue, that really refers to those people from, as they call it, the nation of Aztlan. And these are really so-called Mexican Americans who have come over looking for opportunity and ran into racism, discrimination, and prejudice. But yet they're reconnected to the history of how the 7 states that used to be a part of Mexico, California, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, I think Colorado. These used to be part of the Mexican states and the indigenous people there. And so many of them like to call themselves Chicano, and really at the despise of many of the classist Mexicans in Mexico, who feel that the Chicano is giving an ill representation of the Mexican in Mexico who wants to be more acceptable to the European and the white American. Chicano is 2 words, chiquisilla, which means children, cano, which means land. And so when they say Chicano, they're consciously referring to themselves as the real children of the land. Now, when we move over into Florida, you've got like 33% of the population in Dade County, which is where Miami is situated, is Cuban, as they say. Some say Hispanic, but we know the numbers are largely Cuban. And 97 to 98% of that 33% are what we call in Florida white Cubans. And there's a large number of that number which are, as Gloria Stefan, the singer, calls it, Jubans. The Ashkenazi strain of Jews from northern Europe and Poland and whatnot who came into Cuba. There's a very interesting story. The conscience, so-called Hispanic, meaning conscience of the colonizing of the European, of the mind and the culture of the indigenous people, reject the term Hispanic because it ties them to Hispaniola, which is from Spain. You see? And they would prefer to go under titles like Chicano, or they'll choose I'm Dominican, or I'm from Mexico, but I understand my roots, whether it be Toltec, Aztec, Mayan, or Olmec, or whatever tribe they choose. But in Florida, it's a little different. In New York, you got a lot of Puerto Ricans. In Chicago, you got a lot of Puerto Rican, and you got a whole lot of Mexicans too. But it depends on the conscience state how they accept or reject the title. Latin, Hispanic, or Chicano. There right now, you're from Michigan? Well, I think I'm due to be at Michigan State University on the 11th of next month for a Chicano, a national Chicano student assembly kind of thing. And they invited me because they want to learn from the discipline and the structure of the Nation of Islam how to awaken the consciousness of their people. Very beautiful, because they realize how they have been literally robbed of their own history, contributions, culture, life, you name it. You see? If you do a little research in how this American government thinks, at the turn of the century, somewhere down around the period of the Spanish-American War, you find President Adams saying that Cuba is like a fruit ripening on the tree of Spain, which means it is soon to fall. And when it falls from the tree of Spain, it will fall right into the hands of the U.S. And that's exactly what happened with Cuba, Puerto Rico, and they both have had some struggles for independence. Study the Batista regime in Cuba from 1950 to 1959. Look at the territories that were owned by the U.S. AT&T, for an example, and other big American companies owned the wealthiest lands in Cuba. Study the condition of black people in Cuba. Cuba is 70% black. Venezuela, many people don't understand. When they see about Venezuela, they see these light-skinned Venezolanos, as we say in Spanish. No, Venezuela is 80% black. Many are still quoting that Brazil is 60 to 80 million black people, the largest amount of black people outside of Africa in any place. Correct, but the number is larger. The last statistic that was done back in 1993, I believe it was, showed that black people in Brazil number over 105 million. And the same is as you go into Paraguay, Uruguay, Peru, Colombia, Argentina, Chile. It doesn't make a difference. Going to Costa Rica, the 7 countries of Central America, the 13 countries of South America, is black all over. Going to Mexico, you go a few miles south of Acapulco, where everybody's going to have a vacation, and you'll run into little pueblitos that are all black as everybody in this room, hablando perfectamente bien el español. You go up into the state of Veracruz, whole little pueblitos, little towns, preserved, all black, speaking Spanish. It's very deep. It's very deep. It's very deep. But thank you for your comment. Yes, dear brother. It's a culture that evolved in truth. He's asking about, the different stereotypes. I gather that's what he's talking, the stereotype about blackness, and he had often wondered why so much stereotyping. He made mention of black Sambo. What we're talking about with black Sambo and all of these other derivatives referring to black is really a culture that has evolved from slavocracy. It's a slave culture that permeates an ill perception of blackness in order to facilitate an authoritative standard and perspective of Anglo-Saxons, white folks. And it's deeper than black Sambo. It really is at the base of the very institutions that we go to for help, such as the Association of Psychiatry and Psychology in this country, who still holds and has not disputed nor repudiated or gotten rid of its founding fathers' concepts, who went into thinking that the blacker the individual, the less intelligent, the lighter, the more intelligent. And they had different psychologists who went into Africa and they studied how submissive black people were, and one of them sent back documentation of his accounts of black people in Africa, and he said, these blacks court slavery like that of a spaniel would to his master. Spaniel meaning a dog. Courting means that we adapt to it. We relate to it, almost by nature. That is the humble or the aspect of humility in our nature, but it has got nothing to do with inferior complex. See, we didn't have a problem with color. They had a problem with color. We didn't see the white man and say, oh, there's a problem here. No, the white man saw the black man and said, there's a problem here. You see what I'm saying? Now, in conclusion on that, it is very elevating means to break up the surface soil around plants in order to destroy weeds, prevent crusting, or preserve moisture. If you look at the sperm, the seed of life, it looks like a little tadpole, right? But we know that all the genetic information, all the power, all the capacity is in the head. And it instinctively travels towards the egg, and when it smashes up into the egg, once it penetrates the egg, it breaks down the surface of that head so that its potential and its capacity, its information can start going into operation. Now, what needs to be done and what is already taking place, especially, thank God, as a result of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Thank God, as a result of the continued teaching of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, it's breaking down the head, the surface of this imposed racism. We don't even need white folks around to be racist and discriminative towards each other. We got light-skinned brothers and light-skinned sisters and dark-skinned brothers and dark-skinned sisters and sisters with straighter hair and sisters with more stronger hair. We make difference out of it because it's still part of the slave culture. You see? This was what must be broke down, but as we're breaking down and chiseling off the surface of this sickness, we got to be very careful that we don't, like for an example, and we're trying to retrace our roots, don't get stuck in your root. You understand? Everybody with any degree of black consciousness gives the same old phrase. You got to know where you came from in order to understand how you got to where you are so that you can be able to plan where you want to go. You understand what I'm saying? Now, ebonically speaking, I understand what you're saying, but the point is, as you study your past, don't get stuck there. And that's what many of us have done. We've gone backwards in time and got stuck there. You understand? Maybe two more and we got to close. Yes, ma'am. Traveled in and out of orbs? Look up the term ORB in the dictionary. Orb. There you go. Look it up in the dictionary. Like I said, that's what she said. It may be true, it may not be true, but the point is there any significance in it? Well, if you understand anything about energy or celestial bodies, it makes a lot of sense. Because you know that God in the beginning, or when see, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did not separate God from man. You see, man in this form is the evolution of the revolutionized form that came after his creation. For this form to exist, we need oxygen, we need water, we need the earth. But for the mind, we don't need it. You see? But see, in reality, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he doesn't separate the two. It's one. 1 times 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 1 still equals 1. It's still the one God over here in this sister. It's still the one God in this brother over here. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, not 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Though we have multiplied, in essence, though we have added on, but in essence, we have only multiplied that 1, still being 1. Do you understand? Real quick. Yes, dear brother. I'll get you, my brother. Yes, sir. Of the Heaven's Gate. Well, you want my comment? I don't know. I wasn't a part of the group. You know, it's good to see you, dear brother. And but in truth, you know, I know people always want to know, you know, what's wrong with it? Look, we have entered in a very crazy time period. White folks know their time is up, and they thought that they was going to escape this to go somewhere else, but ain't nowhere else to go. Them folks ain't never coming back. That's it. I don't know about them. I wasn't a part of them. We don't know too much about death. Our study and our culture is life. Yes, dear brother. Say that again. How could Allah manifest himself in what? From nothing. You know, I've heard that term nothing dealt with before. You see, in the English language, most of the words, that's what makes, you know, and I'm going to make this statement. I want you all to all think about this. I believe that you will find this to be 100% true. There's no language on the face of the earth where there are more active arguments than in the English language. And the reason for that is because most of the terminologies and the words in the English language are all ambiguous. They're relative terms. Like, for an example, nothing is a relative term. It's impossible for there to be nothing if something came out. You see? So what is he saying then? For an example, said it was triple darkness. Well, the mere fact that it was triple darkness means there was a degree of light. There was 3 degrees of light. Why wasn't it double dark? Why wasn't it just dark? No, it was triple darkness. I mean, there was a degree of light. There was something there. You see? But it looked like nothing because there was nothing to calculate until whatever it was sparked and came forth. Look at it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, there sparked an atom of life. Spark means there was friction. If there was friction, there were 2 forces in the dark wrestling with one another. Huh? Think about it now. Your mind works the very same way like that triple darkness. You're put in a situation that is hostile, that forces you now and demands of you to come up with an idea of how to relieve yourself of this hostility. Is that right? So you wrestling in the dark. The dark means ignorance. The dark means I don't know what to do, but I'm fighting this thing. And then all of a sudden there's sparks. Oh, I got it now. I'm going to go this way. There sparks an idea. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that first atom that sparked out of triple darkness was an atom of thought. It was an atom of thought. You could also understand from this that the triple darkness really was like a mind field. See, think about it. What is mind? I didn't say what is brain. What is mind? Mind is not flesh. Mind is not material. Mind is not mass. Mind is really a field of energy. Huh? And in that field of energy, there sparked an idea. Look at it. The Holy Quran is written so beautifully. Wherever the Quran says, say He, Allah is one, say, Allah says be, say, that's activating a thought. Word means sound of an expressed thought. And when God says, say, He's putting into motion, He's activating the idea, and there sparked the matter of life, and then now it's twisting and turning in the dark, emanating light from it. It evolves and twists and turns. God says be. Be is a verb, action word. God says be, and it is. But what we got to do is come out of Walt Disney. We got to come out of Fantasyland and understand something. Check this down. I'm going to drop something on you. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad once said, with a question that was placed to him at the dinner table, when referring to how long did it take him to come out of the dark? You know, all of us dropping questions that are heavier than we can chew, right? Someone just asked deep question just for the hell of it. Did you see me ask that question? You know? And if they think it's big, say, I got them stuttering. But no, it's true. Someone's asked questions that are important, but they may not be relative to where you are right now. And that's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad used to say, stop the believers from sciencing up on everything. We want to go all deep in the pyramid, this diametric measurement to the constellation. Understand me here, where the Sphinx understand what I'm saying. But okay, what I want to talk about is how the sands in the Sahara, right? Okay. You see, what you smoking, my brother? Listen to this. That sparked an atom of life. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he was questioned, the question was, how long did it take him? And he said, well, he had to wait for brain cells to develop in order to think his way out of the dark. What all of this is pointing to is that even in creation, see, we want to make God more, and more is relative to your ignorance because, you know, you want to make it more. More what? You are a miracle. How many brothers in here married? Let me see your hands. How many brothers in here got children? Raise your hands. Isn't it miraculous how you had sex and passed that woman some foggy fluid, and all of a sudden she starts swelling up? And then all of a sudden you went and got an ultrasound with her and you saw something beating and moving and breathing, and then all of a sudden you saw this baby come out. And then when you looked again, the baby was walking. Then you look again and the baby was talking. Good God Almighty, that's a miracle, man. We don't need to make it nothing more than that. Let's deal with that. Hell, man, that's spooky too. Well, my wife was pregnant, man, and I felt all 3 trimesters. When she said, I was feeling it too. I said, did you feel that? I don't know what the heck was the matter with me. I ain't been myself since then. It's incredible. We ain't got to make it more than that. But now, let me close it. Look at this. Everything is in a process. It's in a process. It's in a process. That's how he did it. Nothing is a relative term. Something is a relative term. Nothing could be relative because there was nothing that a certain kind of sight could see. You see? Look at the world. The world is looking at us right now, looking at our generation. They don't see nothing there. And that's relative to what they think they can use. But the world sees nothing in black folks, but God sees something in black folks. Now look at that. Last question. Somebody had to, oh, my sister standing here. Yes, ma'am. Wa alaikum salam. Yes. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Wa alaikum salam. That is beautifully put. That will be the last question and comment of the afternoon, and I think it's perfectly on time. In fact about it, the work is out in the streets. But make no mistake about it, we didn't pop up in here magically. Where you think we came from? But that means we have to keep going out. Keep going out. This is but a way station. Those who become members of the mosque are those who have determined that they are going to dedicate their life, their time, their talent, their energy, and whatever they can spare of their finance to make a difference out in the street. Our Tony, is there anyone in here that has never sinned in their life? Please don't raise your hand. I don't want to embarrass you. Because I might know you, don't you? The Quran says that if Allah were to judge man by his sins, there wouldn't be one of us left alive upon the face of the earth. So that means every one of us, to some degree, to lesser or more degree than the person next to you, has sinned. Well, the atoning process is going out there and saving the life of someone. You remember the 8 steps of atonement the Honorable Louis Farrakhan taught us? Point out the wrong, acknowledge the wrong, confess the wrong, first to God and then to the person whom you've wronged. Repent for the wrong, which requires changing of your mind and your thinking about a particular act or deed committed. Number 5 is to atone. Atone means you've got to do something now to amend for what has been wrong. Is that right? You got to do something about it. Number 6 is forgiveness. Forgiveness does not mean to forget. That's why some of us don't forgive. We say, I ain't going to ever forget. I'm nobody telling you to forget, but forgive. Forgive means let go of that reality. Because when you fail to forgive, you become an accomplice to the crime. You didn't hear me. When you fail to forgive, you become an accomplice to the crime. And anytime you do not let go of a negative reality, you start assimilating that reality and reproducing the act. The 7th step is restoration and reconciliation. And the 8th step is perfect union. None of us have atoned until we've gone out there and helped somebody who's sick. Thank you so much for listening. Love you, Chicago. Assalamu alaikum.